All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 24, episode number 24 of the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast. We have a lot to cover, folks. I do have a couple of announcements. I want to thank all of our Freedom and Wealth Seekers that have made the commitment and have been on each and every Wednesday night. I love it, folks. I also want to shout out all of my one-on-one inner circle members. Good evening, Sharita. I did get your text in reference to those 25 potential deals. So I will be hitting you up after this episode. So hopefully I think you'll still be awake to talk about those deals. We will also be talking about some news. There's nationwide news. I have some local news that I'm going to share as well. And as you all know, we read real estate related news stories to seek and find opportunities. That's one of the methods that I teach. Today we're going to actually start something new called the Freedom and Wealth Seeker lesson of the week. And we're going to focus on lead generation. So each week I will teach and you will learn about a different topic, strategy, or resource each and every week. Lead generation, there's no way I'm going to be able to teach it throughout the entire 30 minutes. But each week we will touch on something new that you'll be able to take from our podcast and actually implement. So we're going to talk about lead generation, attracting and finding motivated sellers. You want to write that word down, motivated sellers. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. Also, Direct Mail Wednesday. I do have a postcard from last week that I want to go over. I'm actually holding it right now. And I actually received some direct mail earlier this week that I'm excited about. I'm excited about sharing. There's a gentleman that continues to send me postcards. And these postcards, if you all remember Chris Buys Houses, I featured his direct mail piece several times on this podcast. I'm going to try to get a hold of him and bring him on because I believe he's one of the most consistent direct mail marketers that's targeting my market. I don't know if he's in Baltimore, if he's a nationwide buyer, but he's definitely using a system to market to potential motivated sellers. He sent me letters to my house. He sent me letters to my office, and I'm impressed. So, and I actually want to know where he gets his mail pieces from because they're really cool and they're really personable. So look out for that probably next week. And who knows, maybe I have Chris on the podcast. We'll see. Also, I want to talk about some other stuff too. So before we jump into the lesson for today, there's some news stories floating around the internet, social media, and they're eye-opening. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Before I do that, I want to go over the disclaimer. Ladies and gentlemen, my content is intended and must be used for informational and sometimes entertainment purposes only. It is very important that you do your own due diligence before implementing any of the methods mentioned and using any of the tools that I share. Any investments that you make are based on your own personal circumstances, situations, but you should, and I recommend you should consult with a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. And please verify anything that I share or teach you throughout these episodes. All right. Let's see, I want to start off with the biggest news. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen this article floating around. So this is the latest, still got people logging on. This is the latest New York Post article. Headline says it all. You need to earn at least $160,000 a year to rent anything in New York City. It goes on to read that rents have gone up. Rents have actually gone up about 30+% since the pandemic. Okay, any single resident of New York City who makes less than $192,000 per year is in for a rough apartment hunt. Earn less than six figures? Good luck scoring even a modest New York City apartment. The median ask for a rental in Manhattan has skyrocketed to $3,900 a month, a staggering 31.9% year-over-year jump from April 2021, according to Douglas Elliman's latest market report. Douglas Elliman is one of the biggest real estate brokers in the country. Literally last quarter, they did over 309 million in revenue. Anything this guy says, he's probably very accurate on his forecast. This is eye-opening. So when I read this article, first thing comes to mind is what happens to the people that can't afford to live in that city anymore, or their landlords elect to raise their rents and they're priced out of that market. Well, they're most likely going to have to move to a neighboring city or county, which is going to create an opportunity. They may even move. I've heard of families moving out of cities because of just the cost of living. Okay, just the cost of living is exceeded their budget. So it's affected people on the West Coast. People on the West Coast, a lot of people from California moved down to Texas. A lot of people from the West Coast moved to the East Coast. So the opportunity I see in reading an article like this is figuring out where people are relocating. All right. And knowing where the market is going, just from my experience from the past and present, I truly believe we're moving towards more of a buy and hold market. Write this down. Real estate is a long-term game. It's a long-term play. What I mean by that, if you've never done a deal, like that's the thing that everybody wants to do, and we'll talk about that in a second. But having a plan, like you all have to have some type of exit plan or some type of concrete long-term plan. I truly believe if you want to be successful in real estate. And the long-term plan that I recommend my clients is that they get in, they get a deal or two under their belt, but the main objective is buying and holding property for the long term. Because what I've experienced and what I see in the market is that rents are not going down unless you have a really kind-hearted landlord. Like I know some landlords that haven't raised rents in 15 years, but they're happy getting $800 a month, even though they know they could be getting $1,600. Okay, that's very few and far between. Okay, Rents are going to continue to rise. So Section 8 rents are going to rise because they use the comparable market rents to set their rents every year. Some of the other housing voucher programs, their vouchers are going to rise along with the market rents, and this is going to happen nationwide. So if you're in a position over the next 20 years, just imagine 20 years from now, when we're back on podcast number 2040 or something like that, and we look at an article from the New York Post, that number's most likely going to be $6,000 to $9,000 a month or more in New York for an apartment unit. Okay, there is a huge demand for housing right now. If anyone recalls, any of our Freedom and Wealth Academy members, if you recall, I brought on Vincent Harris, one of our real estate experts that we invited to do a 4-day training. He mentioned going to a housing conference in Las Vegas, and the speakers at that housing conference a year ago said that the United States has a need for 5 million housing units because the population has outgrown the available housing units. So when you first hear that, you may think, well, there's a need for people to buy homes. No, it's a mixture. There's going to be people that need to buy, that can't buy because there isn't any inventory, but there's going to be a huge need for people to rent. Okay. And I said this on past podcasts, you're going to see more and more families moving in together, where usually you may see 3 to 4 people. You're going to probably see 5 to 10 people moving in with each other into a single family dwelling. We're most likely going to see that all over the country, especially if we end up going into a recession. Now, a good thing about that is going to bring more families together. A lot of people are talking about that. Just look at some of the signs, some of the indicators of where things are going. Gas prices. How many times a day on social media do you see someone sharing their gas? They post, I'm paying $100, every couple of days. Okay, people are going to start tightening up more and more. And I'm seeing it in the housing market. I have a house on the market right now. It hit the market maybe 8 days ago. We have one showing. One person went to see the house. That's unheard of in over the last 2 years. That's unheard of. Usually you'll have 18 people to go see a house within the first 8 days. Okay. So I'm seeing things tighten up even on my end. And I'm hearing from other investors, same thing. So what's going to end up happening is we're all going to have to lower our prices. And this is going to happen not just in my market, it's going to happen in markets all over the country as far as selling properties retail. Why is the market slowing down? Because the interest rate went up. Okay, it's not just the gas. You got the gas and the interest rate up. So it's more expensive to buy that $250,000 house now. It's more expensive to do that. But what does this mean? Well, if you learn how to invest in real estate the right way, no matter if the market's up or down or if there's a recession, you'll always be in a position to make money. And the lesson that we're going to go over today in regards to lead generation, how to attract motivated sellers, where to find them, that really gives you a competitive advantage when markets are down or even when markets are up. There's always a motivated seller. That's why I said write that down, write those words down at the beginning of today's podcast. So another big story out of my alma mater, Morgan State University, Morgan State University to lease 537 units of student housing around Baltimore amidst record high enrollment. This is huge. So this is a news story. I'm not going to play the video here, but Morgan, they have an excellent president and an excellent team that is really pushing enrollment, pushing development on campus. It's an institution that's really attractive, and it's attracting people from all over the world. And they have a dilemma, and their dilemma is they don't have enough housing on campus. That's a huge dilemma because where they're leasing these units is not in walking distance. I'll tell you that. You have to drive to campus. Now, unless college has changed since I've been there, I know it has. I know you can take online classes, things of that nature. But I'm pretty sure they don't want people just taking online classes. They want people on campus. That's why they're doing all these new upgrades and developments on campus. But my experience at Morgan, it's a hassle commuting because you got to find parking. And then if there's a transportation system taking you from Towson, Maryland to East Baltimore, if you run into traffic, you can be late for class. It's just a hassle. So where do I see opportunity here? Well, there's one of the biggest communities in Baltimore City, right across the street from Morgan State University. It's actually surrounded by residential. And there's some vacant lots in the area. There's some vacant commercial buildings in the area. Where I see opportunity, and I'm not saying this is going to happen for me, but what I will attempt to do is make some contact with people that I already know that work at the university to see if the school is willing to lease any residential properties in the immediate area. They may or may not. I do know that some of their athletic teams have done that in the past, but this is a huge opportunity, to say the least. I'm going to come back to universities, and particularly my university, and what's happening there and what's happening to the property value in that neighborhood. But there's opportunity in every news article that you read, especially when it's talking about there's a housing shortage. Because if you control the housing, you have now fulfilled the need for that entity. All right. And this happens to be a big one. So that was enlightening reading that. I'm a little upset they still haven't fixed the housing issue, because it was the same way when I was at school. But I see an opportunity. Now I look at things a lot different. There's a huge opportunity there. This is another story that popped up. Now, this is another local story, but this can be applied all over the country. Baltimore lawmakers seek to tee up the Red Line revival. So this is a transportation system that's coming in to Baltimore. They've been talking about it for over 20 years. And it looks like when the new governor steps in, he may launch the Red Line project. The Northeast Maglev, I just want to show you, this is another project, and this is going to affect the entire East Coast eventually. They were just in a major court lawsuit. I don't know the verdict on that lawsuit, but I'm pretty sure the Maglev is going to get the green light. They already have over 25,000 signatures between Baltimore, DC, Philly, and New York. And this is, I mean, look at what's going to happen to the real estate market. So all those people that are in New York, if this happens, right? And remember, I talked about in 20 years, the rents in New York may be $10,000. Well, if they have a transportation system that's going to go 311 miles per hour, a lot of those people are going to move south. okay? Because it's going to be a lower expenses. There'll be lower expenses, living expenses, okay? The people in DC are going to come to Baltimore. What's going to happen to cities like Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware? And there are other little towns in Delaware. Delaware's uh, a hot market in my eyes. There's several hot markets around the country, but the smaller markets are going to see populations, population growth. All right. And what happens is going to bring jobs. Jobs brings new economies. It brings revenue into the city. It brings what? Renters. It brings new homeowners. So understanding that all of this is connected, folks. Okay. All of this is connected. Rents going up, transportation, the local colleges and universities, pretty much everything affects real estate. It's either going to be in a negative or a positive, but understanding that real estate is the longest and tested asset class. It's the most predictable asset class, I believe, on the planet, because if you buy a piece of property and you hold on to it long enough, it is going to appreciate. Show me someone that has purchased a property 20 years ago and their house never appreciated. That's not happening. Okay. Or the land hasn't appreciated. That's not happening, folks. Real estate always appreciates. So those are the news stories. Also, I want to shout out a Baltimorean. For the folks that didn't know, I'm a huge boxing fan. Gervonta Tank Davis is a lightweight knockout artist, and he just defended, I believe, one of his titles, I think 2 weeks ago. So exciting fight. I feel like this guy hits with all of the frustration, pain, and trauma from Baltimore when he punches his opponents. But it's not too often you get an exciting fighter like a Tank Davis. Last time I saw somebody punch like that was Mike Tyson, and I was a kid. So I really can appreciate it. I've actually gone to a fight of Tanks and watched him in person. It was just exciting. It was just exciting. So I wanted to share that with everybody. So lesson 1 of Freedom and Wealth Seekers. This is the first time ever we've done a lesson. We're talking about lead generation. And earlier this week, actually over the weekend, I put out a video. One of the biggest questions that I get is, how did I get started in real estate? And if you didn't know, it was through tax sale certificates. All right. Tax sale certificates. I now call it local government foreclosures. Anyway, when I was younger, tax sale certificates was my way into the real estate door. I didn't know anything about what I'm about to share with you all. I didn't know anything about lead generation. With lead generation, you can acquire wholesale property. So if you want to acquire a property that you just want a quick flip, wholesale, you can use a lead generation strategy, specifically targeting motivated sellers. Motivated sellers are people that don't want to sell. Write that down. Motivated sellers are people that don't want to sell. They are people that need to sell fast within like the next 30 days. That is all in a nutshell what a motivated seller is. There's different types of leads in real estate. Okay. If I'm a real estate agent, well, I'm looking for listing leads. I'm looking for potential home buyer leads. Okay. Listing leads are people that want to sell. They want to sell, not need to sell. They want to sell. See, it's a difference between somebody wanting something, because when you want something, you don't really truly need it. But when you need something, you need it. Like you may want the new Mercedes, but you know you need to get to work tomorrow. So you're going to drive whatever you're driving, or you're going to catch the public transportation, but you may want something. Understand there is a difference. So with the different types of leads, okay, you may be an astute real estate investor. You may be experienced, right? Where you don't need motivated sellers. You're fine financially. You like to invest in real estate, but you understand that in order for you to make money in your hobby, real estate investing, that may be something you like to do, you have to generate some leads. So what you'll do is you'll contact a real estate agent, or you'll contact an auction broker and see what listings they have available and see what auctions are coming up. That's a lead source, auctions and real estate agents. Now, it depends on the type of market. Understand this. I want y'all to just write this down. And over the next 6 to 18 months, I want you to track what I'm about to say. There are a lot of people in real estate today. There are a lot of people, operating in the market as real estate agents, and people are doing very well. But over the next 6 to 18 months, those same real estate agents that you see on social media, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I want you to, if you're following their pages, continue to follow. But you're going to see less and less real estate agents actively posting properties, actively holding open houses, okay? Because the market is starting to slow down. And when that happens, real estate agents aren't making as much money, okay? The smart agents that have been making the hundreds of thousands of dollars, the millions of dollars, hopefully they've been putting their money into real estate, cash flowing assets, or properties that they're going to eventually rent out so they can survive the slow storm that's coming. All right. So I kind of went off on a tangent, but I want to stick to lead generation. So with lead generation as a real estate investor, the best leads that I've ever gotten in my business, ever brought in to my business, my students that have done deals, and you've seen their success stories, they were through motivated seller leads. So what's a motivated seller lead? We talked about someone that needs to sell, but where do you find these people? Well, people that need to relocate. We just mentioned this. Reading the New York Post. There are going to be a lot of people in New York that need to relocate. Now, those people most likely are renting, right? But there are people that live in homes that they may have purchased over the last 5, 10, 20 years that may need to relocate through a job transfer, a relationship. There are people in the market that relocate, okay? There are people that are aging out of their homes and they need to go into a retirement community or an assisted living. That's also a relocation, all right? Those are some of the best deals because most of the time when people relocate, the houses don't need much work. So if you're an investor right now, you've made a lot of profit, or you're a real estate agent and you've made a lot of profit, and now you're getting ready for this recession that everybody's talking about. And one of the best ways of surviving a recession is creating a consistent monthly cash flow. Okay, and I'm only speaking from experience. And when I say experience, what I went through in 2008. The only reason I survived that is I had created cash flow through rental properties and other forms of residual income. Because the wholesale market took a hit as well. And we'll talk about that in a later lesson. Now, we talked about relocation, okay? People, what's the leading cause of divorce? Finances. All right. So people that are going through divorce, I'm gonna share with you where to find one of the best ways to find these types of leads. The first, relocation, word of mouth. Everybody in your network needs to know that you're in the business of buying and selling real estate. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You're in the business of buying and selling real estate. Everybody in your cell phones, pull out those cell phones, look at how many contacts you have. You need to call them. If you don't like talking to people over the phone, you need to send them a text. If you send 50 people a text saying, hey, it's Marcel, I just don't use my name, use your name. Hey, it's Marcel. I'm buying and selling houses in any shape, any condition, any area. If you know anybody or if you need to sell a home, please think about me and give me a call or get in touch with me or share my contact information with them. And I will send that message out, every 2 weeks. Okay. I would send it out every 2 weeks. And if you just get one, remember, the goal is to just get one person to say, yes, I actually have a house I need to sell, or my grandmother or my aunt or uncle. Okay. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Now, there's other ways of attracting those types of leads. They're going to cost you money. I mean, it takes money to make money. If you're going to be in the business of real estate, you have to market your brand. You have to market yourself. We'll save that for another lesson. Now, divorce, same thing. I mean, I'm 40, 41 to be exact, right? And I hear things. I know people that are going through issues. Everybody doesn't work their issues out. Okay. Use your network. Start there first. I'm sure you all can relate. All right. Motivated sellers, one of the biggest reasons, and I piggyback on what I said earlier, what leads most people to divorce is financials, right? Well, a motivated seller has some type of distress situation. They could be behind on, I've had people sell me houses that just wanted to pay off debt, like old credit card debt, tax debt. I've had people sell me houses that were behind on their mortgage. They just wanted to be done with the property. I've had people that wanted to sell me houses because they weren't getting their rent. Their tenants weren't paying. I have had people that wanted to sell me their houses because they were out of state and they bought a property sight unseen and they just overestimated what it would cost. They underestimated, I'm sorry, what it would cost to fix the property up. Okay. So that anybody that has a financial hardship that owns property is a really good candidate to sell. And they understand this. They could be very wealthy. We've had very wealthy individuals sell us properties, but the property was in financial distress. The property had code violations. The property had tax liens against it. The property had HOA fees against the property. And what happens, a motivated seller, remember, they need to sell. So if someone needs to sell, they're most likely going to agree to your terms and price, and that's how you get the property at the discount. The best deals, the most discounted properties are that hit the market. When I say hit the market, hit the wholesale market, are coming from motivated sellers. They're not coming from any auction companies or any multiple listing service. Now, if we experience a housing crash, I'm not saying we're going into I said recession, okay, the market's going to slow down. Housing crash is different. When we experience a housing crash, then banks become motivated sellers. And that's why excuse me, banks become motivated sellers. And I'm only saying that from experience. 2008. So 2009, 2010, 2011, about 3 years, most of our deals were bank properties. Most of my company's deals were bank properties that we were getting at a discount. And most of the properties that we were purchasing were investors, were investor owned. They weren't homeowner owned. They were investor owned. And that's because we targeted that market. Write that word down, target market. We didn't target homeowners during the housing crash. The reason why, and it's very important that you read the newspapers and that you read, like I earlier, for the folks that just logged on, I actually shared a page from a state website, a state government website. The reason why we didn't target homeowners in 2008 is because legislation had just passed that protected homeowners who were going through foreclosure. So it created a lot of red tape for real estate investors that were trying to purchase properties from homeowners that were in foreclosure and still living in the property. So we said, we don't want to deal with that. We want to just focus on the properties that are in foreclosure that are owned by absentee owners. Okay. Now, there were some people that very successful targeting homeowners that were in foreclosure. I said, we're in the middle of a market crash. All the red tape that we got to go through, it's just not worth our time. We might as well wait for the property to go into foreclosure and then buy it straight from the bank. All right. So that's what was taking place during the last crash. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if we're going to see another real estate crash anytime soon. What I do see, what I'm experiencing right now, is a housing slowdown in my market. Okay. Places like New York, Florida, they're still pumping. Okay. But in my market, I am seeing a tightening up. I've had to drop my prices down on one of my listings. It's looking like I will, in 30 days, I have a 30-day rule. If my property isn't under contract, we're going to drop the price. Okay. I'm seeing more and more of that. And it's okay. Everything isn't going to just keep going up. Like, that's insane. It's not going to happen. The entire country has experienced over 40% appreciation. You've heard on the podcast in the past or on any of my Zooms, statistics show year after year, real estate across the country has appreciated 3 to 7%, depending on the market you're in. And that's still a heck of a lot. That's a great return on your initial investment. So there's a lot of opportunity. I got a lot to talk about next week. Before we go, I gotta go through Direct Mail Wednesday. This is a postcard that was sent to me from Kim Jones. Does your property need repairs, behind on payments? So this is great. This ties right into our lesson. That's what I'm looking to buy. Exactly as it is. No repairs, no cleaning, nothing for you to do. Okay, Kim. Don't stress any longer. Call today to set up an appointment. I have an offer for you within 24 hours. My real estate experience ensures a smooth and professional sale. All right, so this is the front of her card. I shared this last week. This is the back. It's a decent message. Let's see when she sent this. I can't see the date, but I think this was sent to me around Christmas time. So it says season's greetings. There's like a stamp here that says Season's Greetings, right? So I keep all my direct mail. Now, the thing is, I haven't seen this postcard since I received the first one. So I'm not motivated to sell, but if she sent this in December and we're now in June, who knows? I could have become motivated to sell this property. But the other thing is, I like the effort with this. It honestly looks like she may have done these postcards herself, just from reading the copy on the back. She puts her email, her phone number. Kim, if you're seeing this, reach out to me. It's a decent postcard, but this is the only one I received. And with postcards like this standard size, you have to send this out more than once before you get a response from most people, right? Especially a seasoned investor like myself. So the other thing that's missing from this card is there's no address. So I don't know what property she's talking about. Okay, Kim, I own several houses. Which property? So this makes me feel less important as a prospect. This is key. You all want your prospects to feel important. You want to show that you invested time. You didn't just put 300 postcards together and send them out hoping to get a response. Not saying Kim did that, but that's what it looks like because there's not even an address. Okay. Are you talking about the house that you sent the postcard to? Are you talking about the property I own on the other side of town? So be very intentional. Because folks, you're spending money. If you're running a direct mail campaign, you're spending money. You need to be as intentional and as precise and as consistent as you can until you pull out a return on your investment. Now, this is the thing. Most people stop after campaign 1. Now, look, the facts are in the pudding, right? Numbers don't lie. I got 1 postcard. Ain't heard from Kim since. Is she still in the business? Kim, if you see this YouTube video, reach out to me. Let me know. I hope you're still around because the real estate market is about to get really good for a lot of people. The people that are educated, the people that execute. So folks, quick announcements. All of my one-on-ones, all of my one-on-one students, we're no longer doing our group Zooms. Everything is scheduled. For one-on-ones, you will receive an email. All of our one-on-one Zooms. The Freedom and Wealth Seekers Academy is going to be in opening enrollment later this month. It is $347 a month. All right, we'll be rolling out more details about that soon. Make sure you go over to our YouTube channel. So hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We're looking to see you on our YouTube channel. We're going to figure out YouTube because we want to go live with our podcast on YouTube. We have over 2,600 subscribers there. So there are a lot of people missing the live broadcast. And we're going to be inviting more and more people as we continue to launch on YouTube. The goal is 52 podcasts in 2022. We're almost halfway there. Next week, episode 25. I'm excited, folks. Thank you for joining us tonight. We went over, that's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at the closing table very, very soon. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.